You ready? Waiting for those. Yeah, wait.
Just waiting for him
Hello?
Hello,
to. You're getting there.
Frank,
Sound like
Anthony.
I'm here.
Okay, how's your hair?
It's good today.
Good.
I was gonna actually wear the toque today, Joseph, but
I like the two.
thank you. I'm just making sure the volume's good. Can you hear me well or no?
yes.
Perfectly.
Okay, thank you.
For Mr. Bruni.
Madam Secretary, good afternoon.
Says good.
Wayne? Melinda? So Frank can't hear. He's just texting me. So I'm gonna say, yes, I can hear.
Frank can't hear.
Frank cannot hear.
Oh, Frank, can you hear us? No, Frank can't hear us.
Is that Frank replying? Can't do your ass, is that?
Why he can't hear us on Zoom. Anthony can and Frank can't. Raise his volume.
Can't.
I'm texting him, can he hear now?
We can't hear him though.
See him for raising his hand.
He's texting.
Can you see if he's muted?
No, he cannot. He cannot hear. Want me to ask if he can see you?
Can you see if he's muted?
His thing indicates non-muted when I go to it.
It's indicating that it's non-muted, so maybe it's something on this end.
Anthony's on.
True.
Technology, eh?
Yes, he said now he can see, but he can't hear.
Still can't hear.
That's normal for Frank.
Wrong.
It's indicating that it's buffering the audio again.
Okay, I can
You can
Oh,
hear.
connect then.
we can hear you now. Okay,
Okay.
Frank, okay. Just to confirm, Anthony, you can hear us, and Frank, you can hear us.
Yes,
Yes.
Chair.
Okay, thank you. All right. Oh, jeez. It's a kangaroo court today, gentlemen. Thank you, Ms. Kelly. All right, welcome everybody to Committee of Adjustments. I'll let Ms. Kelly read her starting lines here, and then I'll introduce the committee.
Respect that we are in the Robinson Huron Treaty Territory, that the land on which we are gathered is the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe and known as Bawating. Bawating is the home of Garden River First Nation, Batchewana First Nation, and the historic Sault Ste. Marie Métis Council. And Mr. Chair, I'll hand it over to you.
Thank you, Ms. Kelly. Welcome to the Committee of Adjustments. To my left is Wayne Greco. Also to my left is Melinda McGregor. On Zoom, we have members Anthony Rossi and Frank Bruni, to which you can't see, but you can hear.
Maybe pull your mic down just a little. Thank you.
To that, Ms. Kelly, if you want to take us away.
Mr. Chair, I'm looking for an approval of the minutes of March 5th, 2024. A motion?
We have a motion.
Motion to approve the minutes, March.
Since I wasn't there, I can't vote, so Ms.
Second.
And can we have a vote in favor of that from all members?
Anthony and Frank, you're going to have to speak out.
We will,
Because we
yeah.
can't see your
We
hands.
will. Yeah, in
Yes.
favor, Chair.
In favor.
Thank you.
All in favor? Thank you.
Mr. Chair and committee members, I've been advised that, Mr. Chair, wishes to declare an indirect pecuniary interest in application B525, that's civic address 860 Great Northern Road, advising that he is a partner in another development within the city with a person that has a pecuniary interest in this matter. And when that matter is being considered, Ms. Chair Greco will leave the chambers and Member Wayne Greco will take the chair. Mr. Chair and the committee, I'd like to advise that application A625, being an application for 1077 Lake Street, has been withdrawn. It was circulated, has since been amended so as it's not required, and so the applicant has withdrawn their application. Application A825, 683 John Street. The applicants have requested a deferral till June 25th, 2025. They would like to meet with their designer and maybe further enhance the site. And if the committee is agreeable with that deferral, I'll require a motion.
Please.
I'll put forth a motion to accept the deferral.
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor?
In favor, Chair.
in favor, Chair.
Thank you. The motion is carried.
Thank you. So we'll move to our first matter on the agenda. And there's no representation here on this application. It's Mr. Chair, do you mind if we move to agenda item 6 and we won't hold up the
Yeah, we can deal with council.
gentleman in the gallery?
Yep.
So go to tab 6. That would be application B725, an application from the trustees of the Emmanuel United Church of the United Church of Canada, Civic number 224 Bennett Boulevard. It is located on the northwest corner of Bennett Boulevard and Boundary Road. The subject property is designated residential in the official plan and is zoned I institutional and is subject to site plan control. The purpose and effect of the application is to sever and convey a westerly portion of the subject property to create one additional lot, together with an easement for ingress-egress purposes and other potential servicing easements as required. The severed lands have a frontage of approximately 32.85 meters, a depth of 50 meters, and an approximate area of 0.164 hectares. The retained lands would have an approximate frontage of 82 meters, approximate depth of 95 meters, and an approximate area of 0.779 hectares. There's an ingress, access, egress easement over the entire property and gross over the retained lands being requested, and servicing easements to be determined, but they'd like those easements would be made conditional on any approval the committee gave and would be determined once the survey plan is prepared. Notice of public hearing was sent by personal mail to neighboring properties by posting a sign on site and posting on the city website. Daryl and Nancy Moss of 82 Essex Lane submitted the following comments. Our residence at 82 Essex Lane is directly behind the proposed severed lands, and we are therefore affected by this severance. According to a Sioux Today article, the severance is intended for the development of a new ambulance base adjacent to the existing number 3 fire station, which is immediately behind our property. Although we do not have any major objections to the proposed development and severance, we would like to ensure that a sufficient buffer is maintained between the severed and retained lands and our residential property. This buffer should include adequate privacy fencing and/or trees and be incorporated into the final site plan, as we understand the property is subject to site plan control. Mr. Chair, they're asking that this be considered and form part of the site plan control process. I'm suggesting that it doesn't need to be made a condition, but I will provide the planning staff that will be doing the site plan control agreement a copy of Mr. and Mrs. Maz's comments. As part of the application review, this proposal was circulated to the following internal departments and external agencies for their review. Building Division had no comments. Engineering Division staff has reviewed the proposed application and had the following comments. There is no sanitary sewer on Bennett Boulevard. We cannot support the creation of a lot that doesn't have access to sanitary sewer. The application mentions easements to be determined, but the feasibility of servicing and securing an easement should be done before the lot creation. Should drainage cross property line and not be directed to the municipal road allowance, a drainage agreement may be required. This could also be addressed during site plan approval process. Engineering recommends that any approval be made conditional on a preliminary servicing design for the storm and/or sanitary services easement, and that it be submitted for approval by the Director of Planning, of Engineering, or his designate prior to final consent. And I've discussed this with the applicant's representatives, and they're aware that it would be made a condition of any approval. Staff recommendations, comments will require a transfer deed of land, parkland levy, certificate application fee, reference plan, easement documents, PIN abstract and PIN map, minor variance application if required, ingress egress easement, service agreement, discharge of charge or mortgage, partial discharge or charge of mortgage, payment of taxes, and obtain approval from the Director of Engineering or his designate of a servicing design for storm and/or sanitary services for a services easement prior to final consent. And those are my submissions, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Kelly. I don't see anybody else in the gallery, but it looks like there's counsel for the applicants here. If one of you would like to come up to the podium to address the committee and identify yourself and what firm you're with, et cetera, for the record. Okay. I only have one question, and that's obviously to do with the concerns of Daryl and Nancy Maz. And as Ms. Kelly said, she doesn't recommend that it be a condition, but is your client brought their mind to the issue that they arise with the buffering and the trees and all of that? Okay.
And if I could just clarify, Mr. Chair, the reason I suggested that it be moved to the site plan control process is if the committee were to attach some sort of buffering requirement, it would have to be in place before we could even do final consent. And this way, they will have to review both the property that's remaining with the school, with the church, and the newly created property, and may suggest additional trees or something, but that'll be part of their process.
And I will note that neither of the people who wrote this letter are here today to speak to us. I'll just put that on the record as well. Okay, I don't have any further questions. Any questions from committee members?
No question, but I couldn't hear the applicant's counsel speak.
William, oh, you couldn't hear him speak?
No, I'm not sure if Anthony could.
Reiterate.
Okay, I'll reiterate that.
Sure.
Mr. Bruni, long and the short, his client has brought their mind to the buffering issue. And that being said, if there is some sort of need down the road for that through the site plan control process, they're willing to cooperate. So as Ms. Kelly said, it doesn't seem to be an issue for us to deal with.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
He also brought to our attention that there's a significant space between the proposed new rear property line of this parcel and the retained land. There's a significant area in there before it abuts the neighbor's property. So any additional buffering that's required on that portion of the land may not be able to be put in place on that land because it would be the church's property, and may have to go along the rear of the proposed severed parcel, which is already a significant distance away, correct? Yeah.
Correct.
But that's something that will be reviewed in the site plan process.
Okay,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Bruni? Okay.
Yes, thank
Mr.
you.
Rossi, do you have any comment?
No questions, Chair.
Okay, seeing no further comments or questions from the committee, I'll close the discussion here. Can I get a motion either in favor or against the application?
Make a motion to approve the application.
Okay, can I get a second for that
I'll
motion?
second that, Chair, with the recommendations and conditions as stipulated.
Thank you, Mr. Rossi. All in favor?
In favor?
In favor.
Okay, the motion is carried. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. And we will go back to tab 1 on the agenda. We're back to tab 1, which is application A725, an application from Michelle Jolin, 184 Maple Street. The subject property is irregular in shape. It is designated residential in the official plan and is zoned R2 gentle density residential. It is located on the northerly end of Maple Street and borders Maple Street to the west and Birch Street to the east. Bylaw 2005-150 requires a minimum front yard of 7.5 meters. That would be on the Maple Street side. The applicant seeks to reduce that front yard setback to 3 meters. It requires a rear yard setback of 10 meters when they applied on Birch Street. They're looking to reduce the rear yard setback to 0 meters at the home's northern point, increasing that to 6.6 meters at its southern point. And they're looking to, the required interior side yard is 1.8 meters, and the applicant seeks to reduce the south interior side yard to 1.2 meters. I would just point out that since the application was filed and circulated, council has approved a further reduction to the rear yard setback requirements, although it would still need a variance as they're going to 0. To facilitate the demolition of the existing home and shed and the subsequent construction of a new single-unit home with an attached garage having upper level living space. Notice of public hearing was sent by personal mail to neighboring properties, by posting a sign on site, and by posting on the city website. As part of the application review, this proposal was circulated to the following internal departments and external agencies for their review. Building Division had no objections. They advised that there are above-ground electric conductors in the front yard, and as such, Section 3.1.20 of the Ontario Building Code will need to be taken into consideration, as no part of the proposed construction can cause any part to be closer than 4 meters to the above-grade power lines running along Maple Street. This is a horizontal measurement from the closest power line to any part of the structure, including eave projections, decks, etc. Engineering staff acknowledge that the irregular lot configuration makes the site layout difficult. They do not object to the proposed setbacks, however, noted that the proposed driveway fronting on Maple Street only provides roughly half the required length for parking, and the city cannot guarantee that the parking space can remain in place in the future. Due to the change in driveway location, the owner should be aware that a curb cut permit will be required along with a municipal consent form for any alterations within the municipal right-of-way. Planning staff have no objections to reducing the required front yard setback from 7.5 meters to 3 meters and the required interior side yard from 1.8 meters to 1.2 meters. This reduction is consistent with the existing neighboring buildings and within the general intent of the zoning bylaw. It should be noted that the City Boulevard provides buffering between the proposed development and Birch Street. Planning staff does not anticipate any adverse impacts. Fire Services Legal Department had no comments. Conservation Authority had no concerns or objections, but did advise that a site plan review will be required to assess for development permits. PUC Distribution, the electrical utility, noted that the existing overhead electrical service will need to be removed for the demolition of the existing house and a new service to be installed to the proposed new location. The owner is encouraged to contact PUC Engineering early in the process to allow for detailed review and coordination. And this will be captured again in the city's demolition permit process. Public Utilities Commission Water Utility, the owner is encouraged to contact PUC Engineering early in the process to allow for detailed review and coordination. My comments are there's no objections to the request. However, building, engineering, and PUC staff have referenced several matters that will require the owner's attention early in the construction process. They're not intended to be conditions, as we don't have the authority for those conditions. However, the Subject property owner Michelle Jolin has been advised of all of these comments. And those are my submissions, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
Oh, and one other thing, I would point out that several years ago, actually in 2020, the committee approved a very similar application on this property to zero. Since then, they've decided to demolish the existing residence. The previous was for a garage, an attached garage. It really is going to fill the same building footprint, but a different building.
All right, so nobody's in the gallery. Any comments from committee members?
None, Chair.
None.
Rooney?
None.
Okay. That being said, can I get a motion either in favor or against the application?
I'll put forth a motion to approve the application.
Ms. McGregor, can I have a second for that motion?
I'll second the motion.
Okay, seconded by Mr. Wayne Greco. All in favor?
In favor, Chair.
In favor.
Okay, the motion is carried.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, tab 2 has been deferred, so we'll move to tab 3.
This one, right? That's
Yep.
Yeah.
So we'll move to tab 3, and that is application A925. It's a Long Ontario Incorporated name. It's 235 McNabb Street. You're more familiar with it being the YMCA property. It's located on the south side of McNabb Street, approximately 155 meters east of Great Northern Road, Pym Street, McNabb Street intersection. It is designated institutional in the official plan and is zoned institutional. This property is subject to site plan control. The variances requested to bylaw 2005-150 are specifically sections 1.2.4 and 1.2.5, which states that freight containers are only permitted in the rear yard of industrial or commercial zone properties and 4.5 meters from any building. The applicant seeks to permit a 2.438 meter by 6.09 meter freight container, as CCAN as they're commonly known, to be in the easterly side yard of the institutional zone property, 1.5 meters from the building. The purpose in effect is to use a freight container in a manner similar to an accessory building for secure storage purposes. Notice of public hearing was sent by personal mail to neighboring properties by posting a sign on site and posting on the city's website. As part of the application review, this proposal was circulated to the following internal departments and external agencies for their review. Building Division had no objections. Engineering and Construction had no concerns. Fire Services had no comments or concerns. Legal Department had no comment. Planning Division had no objections. They're of the understanding that the freight container will be aesthetically enhanced as per the concepts provided with the application. PUC Inc. Electrical advised that PUC has a transformer for this property's electrical servicing located near the proposed shipping container location. They must have access to this transformer for emergency maintenance and replacement purposes. PUC requires 5 meters in front to the east of this transformer. Please ensure the shipping container's most northern side is to the south of transformer's most southern side. Also, the customer-owned duct bank, which contains the cables feeding this transformer, is directly under the proposed shipping container location. In the event of an emergency or repairs, it will be the owner's responsibility to have the shipping container moved prior to any duct bank works. The duct bank and transformer pad are customer-owned. The client, agent, and owner are aware of PUC's comments. Public Works had no comment or concerns. Recommended conditions are enhance the visual aesthetics of the container in line with the concepts provided with the application to the satisfaction of the Director of Planning or his designate. And the shipping container's most northern side must be to the south of the transformer's most southern side. And those are my comments, Mr. Chair.
Again, nobody in the gallery. Are there any comments from committee members?
A
Sure.
comment,
Yes.
Chair, for you through Ms. Kelly. I'm
Yeah.
going to assume that these are going to be permanent, these containers, and is any foundation being provided or none?
No, they'll still be able to be removed. They understand that, given that they are on top of The cables that PUC refers to, they understand that it'll be their responsibility to move them if those have to be repaired.
Okay, thank you.
I haven't, thank you. I haven't seen an application like this before. Is this considered a temporary structure?
No, and that's why it's before the committee.
Okay, so even though it's movable, it's
That's right.
considered.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you for that.
All right. Any other comments from committee members?
Just,
None? Oh, yeah, Mr.
sorry,
Mayor.
I do have a question. So, just to be clear, it's a single CCAN, correct? Is that indicated
It's one,
clearly?
it's a single CCAN, yes. It's 2.438 meters by 6.09 meters in size.
Okay, no, we're just talking in plural, so I just wanted to be sure
Oh,
that
no.
nobody else, yeah, okay.
One more question.
Mhm.
So if they had placed the container at the back of the property, be no need for the minor variance?
no, a CCAN container is not permitted on that institutional zone property.
The variance if, no matter where you put it on the property.
Thank you. Thank you for the clarity.
Okay.
To like, if you were going to put a CCAN on your residential property, you have to bring it to
You have to bring a variance.
a variance, yeah.
Not necessarily. If there's adjustments made to the container so that it doesn't look like a shipping container and looks more like an accessory building, then you wouldn't need a permit. You could locate it. Permit size, though, would have to be under the, 126 square meters that can go without a permit. Still has to be located, though, in line with the setbacks.
Okay.
All right. No more questions? All right. Can I get a motion for or against the application, please?
Chair, I'll put forward a motion with the approval of the application with the understanding as stipulated by Ms. Kelly with respect to the concerns of the PUC Inc.
Okay. Can I get a second for that motion, please?
I'll second with the conditions outlined on the application.
Okay, thank you, Ms. McGregor. All in favor?
In favor, Chair.
In favor, Chair.
Okay, the motion is carried.
Okay. Moving to tab 4 on your agenda, which is application B5 25 2057597 Ontario Limited. The subject property is 860 Great Northern Road. It's, yeah, this is fun.
Okay, I got
Sorry.
Yeah.
Just noting again that Chair Grieco has previously declared his conflict and has left the chambers, and Member Grieco is taking over the chair.
Easy. Sorry.
Yeah, there you go. Again, it's 860 Great Northern Road. It's located on the east side of Great Northern Road, approximately 200 meters south of the Great Northern Road and Third Line East intersection. The subject property is designated commercial and institutional in the official plan and is zoned Zone HZ Highway Zone and institutional, and is subject to site plan control. The applicant is seeking the committee's consent to establish an easement over an interior portion of the subject property having an area of 60.49 square meters and illustrated as Part 2 on 1R 14116 in favor of 776 Great Northern Road. There's been no public response to the circulation. As part of the application review, this proposal was circulated to the following internal departments and external agencies. Building Division had no objections, but wished to remind the owners that there is an active permit on the property to demolish the existing structure and to cap the sewer. Both a sewer cap inspection and a final inspection are still required. That's just an advisement, and they'll be advised once they have their minutes. Engineering and construction is generally in support of the attached application. However, there is concern that access to servicing for 776 Great Northern Road could be at risk in the future should 864 Great Northern Road be sold to a different owner. We recognize that a property owner cannot create an easement with themselves. As such, It is recommended that an agreement be registered on the title of both 776 and 864, acknowledging the shared services and easement rights. This agreement could be removed when an easement can be granted. It is also recommended that there be an agreement to address maintenance and replacement responsibilities and costs between all owners. I discussed this with the applicant solicitor, Mr. Spatafora, this morning, and he's satisfied with the conditions that, as I'll outline now as well. Conditions that I'm recommending are payment of transfer review fee, provide a transfer deed of land for certificate, provide a reference plan, provide PIN abstract, PIN map, payment of taxes, finalize the active permit referred to by building division staff, and an agreement is registered on title for both 776 and 864 Great Northern Road, acknowledging the shared services and easements rights and detailing maintenance and replacements responsibilities and costs between all owners. And those are my submissions, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Kelly. There is no one in the gallery, so I will go to the committee if there are any questions or comments.
None, Chair.
Thank you.
I don't have any questions or comments.
Thank you. Hearing none, I will entertain a motion.
I'll put forth a motion to approve the application with conditions as outlined and recommendations.
Is there a seconder for the motion?
I'll second it, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Rossi. All in favor of the motion?
In favor, Chair.
In favor,
Thank
Chair.
you. Thank you. Motion is passed.
Yep.
We will invite.
Thank you.
Hey. If we were all called Mr. Greco, their life would be so much easier.
Well, if you call it really, then I have to keep changing the writing.
Give me a number.
Yeah,
It's a lot of power.
I'm sure. Oh, okay. Is he still here? Because I'll just give him my copy. For you folks that are on Zoom, we have a neighboring property owner that was outside of the council chambers, didn't realize he could come in and wanted to speak to one of the applications. So because it's already been heard, the chair's gone to see if he can stop him and we'll give him a copy of the mapping that we have. On.
Thank you, Madam Secretary.
Give him, no.
Thank you, sir. No problem. As long as we can help you out, that's what we're here for. Great.
So now I'll bring the committee's attention to tab 5, sorry, in your agenda package. And again, there's no representative in the gallery. The application is B625. The owner is Arianic Investments Corporation, owners of 878 Great Northern Road. It is located on the southeast corner of the 3rd Line East and Great Northern Road intersection. The subject property is designated commercial in the official plan and is zoned HZ Highway Zone. The applicant is seeking the committee's consent to establish an easement for storm and sanitary sewer and water main purposes along the length of the rear property line. It has an area of approximately 396.73 square meters and is illustrated as Part 1 on 1R13641. The requested easement will be in favor of Civic 776 Great Northern Road. It is noted that this request and the related easement request in application B525, together with existing easements from the city and the Ministry of Infrastructure, will collectively assist with the intended service connection. Notice of public hearing was sent by personal mail to neighboring properties by posting a sign on site and posting on the city website. As part of the application review, this proposal was circulated to the following internal departments. No objections from Building Division. They wish to remind the owners that the permit for the car dealership has not been finalized, and that's just an advisement, not a condition. Engineering and construction had no concerns. Fire department had no comments. Legal department had no comments. Planning division staff had no objections. PUC electric, PUC water had no concerns, and public works had no concerns. Staff recommendations: payment of a transfer review fee as a condition, provide a transfer deed of land for certificate of official, provide a reference plan, provide PIN abstract and PIN map, and payment of taxes. And those are my submissions, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Kelly. Nobody in the gallery? Any comments from committee members?
None,
None?
Chair.
Good.
None, Chair.
Well, not good, but okay, thank you. Can I get a motion either in favor or against the application?
Support the application.
Perfect, thank you, Mr. Wayne Greco. Can I get a second for that motion?
I'll second it
Okay, Frank.
with the
We'll give that one to
conditions
Frank.
noted.
Okay, seconded by Mr. Frank Bruni. All in favor?
In favor, Chair.
In favor?
Perfect, the motion is carried.
Mr. Chair, that's the end of our agenda, other than to remind the committee members that our next meeting is May 28th.
Okay, can I get a motion for adjournment, please?
Chair, I'll put forward the motion to adjourn at 2:39.
Second that motion,
I'll second it.
seconded by all in favor?
In favor.
In favor?
And
Thank you.
Ms. Kelly, can I phone you later?
You sure can.
Bye, all.
Bye.
Bye now, thank you.
Safe travels.